All right, guys, we need to start pressing these larger YouTube channels to get this information out. The majority of the population doesn't know what a right is, much less what the Constitution is, or what the Constitution says, or what their duty is to the Constitution. Article 1, Section 8 is the 18 specific powers that we granted our federal government. These are the only powers we granted our federal government when it pertains to the people directly, our society. If you read Article 1, Section 8, I would advise that everyone does. You will see it lays out everything from taxation to how the militia is to be ran, how the military is to be ran, is who has executive legislation, and especially what jurisdiction the federal government holds and where. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 is very specific about the jurisdiction of the federal government. It says to exercise executive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 miles square as may by secession of particular states at the acceptance of Congress become the seat of government of the United States. So that's talking about Washington, D.C. That's what that first part is talking about. And to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings. So what does that mean? That means the federal government can purchase land from the many states with consent from the legislatures of the legislature of that state. They can only do so for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings. Meaning they can't walk up to a map and say circle a big plot of land and say, oh, we own that, we're going to now call that a national park. No, the federal government cannot own land for national parks. It's not how, that's not one of the powers we granted the federal government. It also means that unless they purchased the land from the states, they have no jurisdiction to create law within the states. So, the NFA, it's a national sweeping law. The federal government doesn't have that authority. Now, if you read Article 1, Section 8, you don't believe me, and you go read Article 1, Section 8. Again, pay special attention to Clause 17. Once you're done reading that, read the 10th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. Oh, this isn't the right one. I'm sorry. I messed up, but it's okay. I will find it shortly. Right here. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, or reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. So what does that mean? That means that the states create their own laws, because we didn't allow in Article 1, Section 8 for the government to create national sweeping laws. There's going to be the person that says, well, freedom. It says that Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. Yes, it does. But it can only do that where? In the 10 square miles, now known as D.C., because they have executive legislation in all cases whatsoever there, and on any lands purchased by the consent of the legislatures of the many states. The federal government doesn't have the authority it has. I always harp on this, because imagine if the country woke up tomorrow knowing that the federal government, not only, for example, H.R. 127. Now, we all know that it's an unconstitutional bill, and if it was to be signed into law, it would be an unconstitutional law because it infringes on the Second Amendment. But what if... No, I'm sorry, I messed up. I was thinking about two things. It infringes on the right to keep and bear arms, my bad. But what if the country woke up tomorrow and they knew that the federal government didn't have the authority to create any laws that could be enforced in the states? Then what happens? Then the people put pressure on their governors to stop allowing the federal government in the states. We have to reverse what's happened here. That is our only peaceful recourse into fixing things. And I'm afraid if it doesn't happen, and I don't believe it will happen because I've reached out to all the large YouTube channels myself, and they just won't listen to me. Even though all the information is clear as day, it's easily accessible. I mean, all you have to do is punch it in Google. And how much easier does it get? But they refuse to read it. They want to continue to call themselves constitutionalists, yet they don't know anything about the Constitution. They believe that the way they see things makes them a constitutionalist, as they support national sweeping laws the federal government makes when it benefits them. It's a total joke. But it's time that we get on these large YouTube channels, email them, call them, contact them through third parties, however you have to get a hold of them, and tell them they need to put this information out. They need to, instead of, screaming that the roof is falling down or the roof's on fire or whatever, they need to start educating people about the truth. Until they do that, we're guaranteed to lose.